Welcome to the Gloves Are Off Overtime Edition. I'm Moses Woldu, and I'm pleased to be joined by these two fine gentlemen, Taylor Dyer, Stacey Walker. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Very good.
Excellent. You guys ready for this one?
You bet.
Okay, we'll get to the questions we didn't get to, and of course, we will talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and Kyle Dubas. Brought in as an assistant GM, brings a fresh face, literally, the early, mid-late 20s. Smart guy. Was a GM with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Brought in an analytics style, much like you see with the Oakland Athletics, the Moneyball, scenario in this one. Do you think analytics in hockey would work just as good as they do in baseball? Baseball at least deals with a lot more numbers, so there are a lot of things to look for. But can it work in the sport of hockey?
I don't know, I was thinking about that, and I think hockey is more of a read and react type of game. Maybe there's parts of the game that might be able to be analytical, like your shootout players, for example. Like a person's got a 80% scoring ratio on a shootout. Okay, well then
maybe
you'd
shifts,
want him on the bench.
because I think it also results to shifts too. For example, your line going on ice. What are the chances of you scoring a goal? Or if you guys are on the offensive, like Jonathan Toews is known as a guy when at least he's on the ice with his line mates, that they're likely to score a goal, at least have 60% or more of possession, which is the highest out of all the players in the NHL. But do you think something like that can still correlate in terms of finding those diamonds in the rough like you do in baseball?
Yeah, I think with baseball, people kind of thought it was a strange thing when the Moneyball thing all came into play, and I think lots of people are going to say, well, it has no place in hockey. It doesn't make any sense. But until we see what it's going to kind of look like and whether or not it works, you might as well try it, right? And I've heard a lot of rumblings about Dubas.
Kyle Dubas.
Yeah. And how it was only a matter of time before he was in the NHL, and maybe he's there a little bit sooner than a lot of people thought, but he's here now, and we'll see how it plays out, I guess.
How about Steven Stamkos, sticking with the Leafs? Now, a lot of talk, and a lot of people are giving, I guess, LeBron James a little bit of flack. Going back home, all this stuff, then all of a sudden an article came out, Steven Stamkos, when he becomes an unrestricted free agent, 2016, perhaps he wants to go home to Toronto. It's from the area. So, guys, when you see this, and then on top of that, you had Stamkos himself favor this article on Twitter. Does that make you think that he's going to go there? And do you think that any of this is valid at all, that he might one day join the Leafs?
I think in a perfect world, maybe that could be the situation, if that's where he wants to be. If they can give him enough money, if they have room in the salary cap, if there's so many other tangibles that go along with it. For sure, I don't imagine I'm sure he'd love to play at home in front of all his friends and family, but at the same time, he's a competitor. He wants to go somewhere where they're going to win. So if Toronto is at that point where, they can make a run, then for sure I could see him going there. But if they're not close, or if Tampa's right on the cusp as well, and maybe he'll stick it out there to make sure that maybe he can win something there where he started.
I agree. I think everybody growing up, you want to play for that hometown, your hometown. So I think these guys that have good careers in the NHL and they want to finish at home, for him to favor it, like that's social media. Like he just was favoring the thought, saying hi to the boys kind of thing. Like he just probably thought it was a good article and probably wouldn't rule it out. So,
what about the LA Clippers? I should move on to this subject. Planning a boycott if Donald Sterling is still the owner of the Clippers by next season. Do you buy that, especially when you have guys like Chris Paul, Doc Rivers, your players, the majority of them are black? Do you think that a boycott is smart or a necessity in a case that if Donald Sterling still holds some kind of ownership with the team?
I don't know. What everybody did last year with that whole scenario, I respect it. Those players knew he was like that before. It just didn't happen overnight. And I'd like to see whatever way possible would be to get him out, make an example out of him, and let's go on with the game. The NBA, in my mind, was going up in ratings and storylines and stuff like that, and that was, of course, a big storyline, but kind of got taken off the NBA cares and, you know, all the positive things that are going on in the NBA and all the good competition. So whatever happens, I'd like to see it done and over with.
I don't think that a boycott's, I mean, I respect that that's what they want to do, and I understand what they're standing for, but a boycott, it's not really going to, I don't think it's going to do much. Obviously Sterling's not going away, and he's suing the NBA. He could have up and left and everything would have been fine, but he's battling back, and so I don't know what's going to happen with that whole scenario, but to boycott is going to be real tough, and that just only hurts the fans, it hurts the NBA, hurts their teammates and their team, regardless of who is the owner of that team. But I completely understand where they're coming from, but I just don't see it as being a productive thing.
Okay, and we'll leave off with Ray Rice, guys. Last question. Got suspended 2 games, however, and that's for his domestic abuse that was out there, and of course, we don't condone any of that. Of course, you guys know that that's not right. But is 2 games a light punishment? Because if you look at it, if you test positive for any drugs, either performance enhancing or say marijuana, that's 4 games. Or what happened in Minnesota with Mike Prefer after his comments towards homosexuals. He got 3 games. So is this too little? Is this a right amount? What do you say about this?
I think the NFL is making some pretty big mistakes with some of their suspensions, and I think it needs to be cut and dry. And I don't think you can measure Ray Rice's situation with maybe the drug testing, but you can certainly measure that against other infractions, other domestic violence things. I think someone got 4 games for weapons charges. I think it was Roethlisberger got a 6-game suspension that went down to 4. So you can measure it with those things, and I think 2 games isn't enough. Even if you look at previous cases, I still think it was pretty lenient.
Racist Stace? I agree. I think the league made a big mistake. They're so worried about their image, their corporate image, young kids and stuff like that. So you get 4 games for doing something to yourself and putting a needle in your arm and performance-enhancing drugs. You get 3 games for derogatory remarks about homosexuality, and then basically saying it's a less penalty to hurt someone, especially in that situation of domestic abuse. So totally think they dropped the ball. It should have been 4 games minimum, with some scrutiny and some heavy payments down the road just to end that kind of stuff.
All right, guys. Well, you guys did a fantastic job. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Stacey. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on the Overtime Edition. You could tune in every Tuesday night, CITL, to the show, and come back here for more of the Overtime segment. In the meantime, we will see you in 7 days.